A Viking could have found a T-Rex skull and claimed to have slain the dragon and no one would have doubted it at all. Graveyards are probably the least likely places to be haunted because realistically none of the people buried died there. There's a certain size in which a cup becomes a bucket. The generation that created the internet is a generation that is most out of touch with the internet. The last kid to leave the school bus knows where everyone lives. The probability that your parents actually wanted you is the highest when you're an adopted kid. For squirrels, power lines are mysterious superhighways that were built by advanced giant apes for unknown reasons. There's a chance that someone you know will use your death as an excuse to get out of a social obligation they don't want to go to. The more pixelated something looks, the less pixels it has. The biggest problem with flying cars wouldn't be the traffic, but the constant garbage thrown by careless drivers above you. There's probably a direct correlation between nostril size and index finger size because they're always a perfect fit. Headphones are drinking straws for audio. The first human born on the moon or Mars will be famous for doing absolutely nothing. If plants are alive, then plastic flowers are mannequins. Mike Wazowski always has stomach aches and headaches at the same time. Dogs probably think the leash is there so their owner doesn't get lost. Vacant cop cars are human scarecrows. Somewhere in the world there are two unsolved Rubik's Cubes that are an exact match to each other. There is snow on top of Mount Everest, but the clouds are lower than the top. Reading something you wrote a long time ago is uncomfortable in the same way that hearing a recording of your own voice is. Someone could have a superpower to control time and we'd never know. The only thing more baffling than the idea of an infinite universe is the idea of an edge to the universe. Four-leaf clovers are probably so rare because whenever someone finds one, they pick it and eliminate the mutation from the gene pool. In the future, the moon or Mars might be a boring high school trip that no one is interested. Having bones on your floor is only considered normal if you have a pet. The only reason monsters don't exist is because whenever we find one, it immediately becomes an animal. Retirement homes are technically orphanages. There's a radius around your house where you refuse to sleep in a hotel. 5-second rule or not, most people will eat something that fell on the floor if no one's looking. We had the pocket watch and then invented the wristwatch. Then we moved back to smart pocket watches and then invented the smart wristwatch. Society just collectively forgot about prizes and cereal boxes. Sometime in the future, the bodies on Mount Everest might be the most well-preserved sample of modern human beings. Since squirrels use their tails mostly for balance, they must think happy dogs are constantly in a state of almost falling over. Sharks must think of popular beaches as human-infested waters. The last person alive won't have a funeral. We have bad memory for good memories and good memory for bad memories. Stephen Hawking could have had a conversation with a dentist during a procedure. Every time you paint a room, the room gets microscopically smaller. If your thumb is chopped off, you lose your middle finger. Hitting a pothole is the car version of stubbing your toe. It's hard finding a comfortable position when you go to bed, but when you have to get up, every position is comfortable. The average zebra is gray. The show How It's Made will eventually serve as an archive of past technology. Whatever weird, embarrassing thing you do at home, your pet thinks is normal because you're their only example of what a human does. 2 teeth is 1 tooth. 2 geese is 1 goose. So why isn't 2 sheep 1 shoop? Apparently, it's as easy to bite through your finger as it is to bite through a carrot, but no one's brave enough to prove it. If keyboards had braille signs on them, we would all unconsciously learn it over time. Amazon's most shipped item is a cardboard box. Eating fast food alone feels less healthy than eating fast food with friends. If the earth was flat, the Edge would probably be one of the most popular tourist attractions in the world. You could have challenged a random stranger in an online game whose ancestors challenge your ancestors in a real-life battle. Corrupt cops are just undercover criminals. People who stop you in public to try and sell you something are like real-life pop-up ads. Every fish that you catch on release goes home with an alien abduction story. Ironically, blind people have less of a chance of walking into a glass door. Since nobody has come back in time to murder you yet, nothing you do must be really that bad. A funeral director is just a party planner for dead people. When a watch battery dies, it records its own time of death. Pizza rolls are just Italian gushers. A car key travels more distance than the car it belongs to. People with social anxiety are probably more embarrassed about complaining at a restaurant than the restaurant is for making the mistake. Honey is the tastiest of all the insect vomits we've tried so far. We think aliens would abduct and do experiments on us because that's exactly what we would do to them. If everyone on Earth jumped at once, there would be no humans on Earth. Taking batteries from one remote to make another one work is the electrical version of a heart transplant. Humans will be the first species on Earth to be fully aware of their impending extinction when the time comes. Spilling coffee on your lap is more effective at waking you up than drinking it. If birds have crazy mating dances, maybe dinosaurs did too. Bad spellers probably have the most secure passwords. After a certain amount of time, grave robbing becomes archaeology. School really isn't that hard, but paying attention to something you aren't interested in is. If you use scented deodorant, you're actually using reodorant. The Google car drove by your house, but you missed it. IKEA is like a Lego set, but Home Depot is like a bucket of Legos. Using a foreign language in public is like using team chat in real life. If you were born with your legs coming out first, for a moment you wore your mom as a hat. If all laws were removed, the crime rate would be 0%. Even when a balloon is half inflated, it's completely full. The opposite of wrong is left. Ever since 1773, the oceans are just really weak tea. There are over 7,500 different types of apple, but only one apple juice. Accidentally liking someone's picture from 2015 is the online equivalent of stepping on a branch while sneaking. The resolution of a movie movie or video, randomly jumping from 144p to 1080p feels exactly like when your nose clears up during a cold. If you're drinking out of a straw, you're consuming your beverage from bottom to top rather than top to bottom. Baking is mostly just gluing broken plants back together with eggs. Teeth are the only problem that if you ignore will go away. Trying to fall asleep with insomnia is like trying to shut down a computer with applications still running. A 6 out of 10 sounds worse than a 3 out of 5 even though they're the same score. When we colonize Mars, will we need a new time zone? Giraffes must take forever to vomit. Plankton could have just given $20 to some random guy and asked him to bring him a Krabby Patty. Rap is just really aggressive poetry. The average height of a skeleton is shorter than the average height of a human. If Google Voice taught children how to speak, they would grow up with the weirdest accent. The first person to do parkour was probably just running from the cops. If you want to be remembered after you die, borrow money from everyone you know. Skipping a step going up the stairs is efficient, but skipping a step going down is absolutely terrifying. The pencil to eraser ratio is extremely optimistic. The human lifespan constantly increasing is great for everyone except for the people who get life in prison. Fainting is the human body's way of turning the device on and off to see if it will work again. Photos are the least pixelated when they have the most pixels. Humans are a bunch of atoms that realize they're just a bunch of atoms. If reincarnation is a thing, you could be learning about yourself in school without knowing it. Sleeping for longer than normal and still feeling tired is the biggest scam. Mickey Mouse's ears always look round from any angle, therefore they are balls. Earth is statistically the most dangerous place in the universe because it has a 100% death rate. After billions of years of evolution, we still accidentally bite our tongues while eating. Peeling off stickers can either be the most satisfying feeling or the most frustrating task depending on the sticker. Water tastes better when it has less taste. College is the opposite of kidnapping. They demand $100,000 or you get your kid back. Losing your voice for being too loud for too long is a real-life chat ban for spamming. Google Earth gives you the opportunity to explore the wonders of the world, but instead you go to your house. Video games are going to be super popular in nursing homes in the future. Taking candy from a baby is actually a responsible thing to do. A squirrel's nutsack is its mouth. We always picture aliens as naked, but if they're an intelligent life form, they will probably be dressed. Once you've read the dictionary, all other books are just remixes. Air conditioning is just domesticated wind. People drive more cautiously when there's food in the seat next to them than when there's a person next to them. Having jump scares to make a horror film scary is the equivalent of getting tickled to make a comedy funny. There are people that you haven't seen in years that have a perception about you that is likely entirely outdated. Your body is a hair printer that loses ink as you age, printing gray hair. Second guessing yourself is your brain telling your brain not to listen to your brain. If you traveled at a certain speed around the world, you could stay in daytime forever. The people who make music for alarm clocks must live with the fact that most listeners will grow to hate the sound of their work. Squidward Tentacles is probably the most easily recognized clarinet player of our generation. Your money isn't yours, it's just your turn with it. All dogs can smell drugs, but only a select few are snitches. Maybe cats purposely break stuff so when you buy new stuff, they get to play with the box. Gaming is the only time you can ask someone if they've died and them answering yes is a valid response. Nobody really knows when their birthday is, we just take everyone else's word on it. A grilled cheese sandwich with tomato soup is just a pizza rearranged. If nothing is real and you're just imagining everything, you've had some pretty good ideas. Life is just a bunch of would you rathers that you actually have to do. Antarctica probably has the highest average IQ out of any continent. An escalator is the most efficient place to tie your shoes. Since matter can neither be created nor destroyed, the atoms you're composed of technically make you as old as the universe. Forgetting about something is one of the few things you can only do on accident, but is impossible to do on purpose. Life support keeps a person on 1 HP until they can regen naturally. Since dinosaurs are related to birds, it makes sense that we have dinosaur-shaped chicken nuggets. If you stick your feet in sand, the entire world becomes your shoes. When you buy batteries, you're essentially buying canned electricity. If you donate 1 kidney, you're a hero, but if you donate 100, you become a villain. Butter is a loaf of milk. If you have bad eyesight and have never had glasses, all of your memories are blurry. If you rob a store naked as a minor, no one could look at the security footage without committing a crime. Musical chairs falls under the battle royale category. At the age of 60, Snoop Dogg will be 420 in dog years. Using a GPS in the car is like having a mini-map in a video game. Your body dying because of a nut allergy is a lot like burning a house down because of a spider. Legally, speed limits are the maximum, but socially, speed limits are the minimum. On TV, children are played by child actors, adults and old people are played by people their own age, but teenagers are played by adults. No one would ever know if a tree chirped like a bird. During every major event in human history, one of your relatives was alive to experience it. For every video game, there's a guy who made grunting sounds in a recording studio for a day. Answering the extra credit question correctly feels more important than a regular question worth the same amount of points. Once you learn a language, you unlock a part of the internet. You don't take the bus takes you. The floor is lava was probably invented by a parent who just mopped the floor. 1 brick is good for attacking, but a lot of bricks are good for defending. Geese are to ducks as wasps are to bees. If picking up a penny takes 2 seconds, then hypothetically it pays $18 an hour to pick up pennies. Dogs probably destroy shoes because they see humans put them on before they leave the house. In about 50 or 60 years, there will be a trend of people who have F on their gravestones and no one will understand why. If snakes are danger noodles, then and barbed wire is a harm slinky. Pet food can pretty much say it's whatever flavor it wants. It's not like you're gonna taste it. If a man has ginger hair and works in a bakery, he is a gingerbread man. Sometimes falling asleep is extremely difficult, but other times it will literally happen against your will. There's probably an alternate timeline where by pure chance, no one has ever won the lottery. The human mind is incredibly intelligent, but we still repeat the alphabet song when we try to find a word in the dictionary. More people would put on sunscreen if we started calling sunburns radiation burns. That spider you killed may have spent its entire life thinking you're its roommate. We're pretty lucky that our air is invisible to us. We picture Satan as evil, but what he actually does is punish evil people. An eyelash getting stuck in your eye is the perfect example of something failing miserably at its intended purpose. Humans are so high up on the food chain that we breed other top predators and keep them for our enjoyment. Cringing over your past self indicates a real-life character development. Some deaf people might not even know that farting makes a sound, meaning that they probably let out hugely loud farts in public. Using your laptop to buy another one is like asking it to dig its own grave. Every light switch is also a dark switch. Gas stations in the olden days were bales of hay. Your digestive system both starts and ends with cheeks. The higher you go in a building, the cleaner the stairs get. If your handwriting is bad enough, you're pretty much ambidextrous. Poultry farmers are literally chicken tenders. The first person to discover that you could eat coconut must have experienced depths of hunger many will never know. When an alarm goes off, it actually turns on. If you're a gamer, there's a high chance that someone somewhere in the world screamed your username in rage. Somewhere out there is a graphic designer who designs the patterns of bus seats and is proud of his work. At some point, we decided to stop carrying around swords everywhere. An army of ducks is an army, a navy, and an air force combined. It feels worse to get hit by rain dripping off of something than it is getting hit by it straight from the sky. Donating a kidney to your spouse is like letting them steal one of your lives in a video game so you can keep playing on co-op. Technically, you eat a cake starting from the middle going outwards. Using your laptop to charge your phone is like performing a blood transfusion for electronics. For as often as people must die in them, you never hear about haunted ambulances. Holding the power button on something is the equivalent of getting choked until passing out. If you were immortal, you'd have to be careful not to get stuck somewhere you can't get out of. Countries don't actually exist, we just pretend they do. Adopting a hairless cat is like hiring an old naked man to walk around the house and ignore you. If we domesticated bears like we did with wolves, we would have real teddy bears. If unicorns actually existed, we would only care about them as much as we care about rhinos and narwhals. If multiple universes exist with infinite possibilities, there's a universe where you are creating this video instead of watching it.